Hi, it's Alice, and welcome to this first 30 minutes of gameplay for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And you wonder, why is this retro game that doesn't come on an Xbox? Well, I can tell you that. That's because that it's exactly 30 years since the game came out on the 24th of February, and oh wow, my save is still there. Yeah, I'm running off the Mega Drive game that is on analog SG, so I can put it on HDMI and get some really crisp quality. So yeah, the North American version came out on 2nd of February, and it was a few weeks ago, but for Europeans it's in a 24th of February. But for this playthrough, just doing the first 30 minutes of gameplay using the no save option, using Sonic and Tails. It's kind of cool, it just it suggests as if it follows after Sonic 2. And then Knuckles collects all the emeralds, so now you had to grab them back. But yeah, you had to collect 7 emeralds, and you'll find out when you just jump mid-air while have 50 wings. But anyway, starts off at Angel Island, really nice. Now, interestingly, that when I was around that time when the game came out, I think I was about 6 or some sort. But there was a lot of hype for Sonic 3. There's a lot of merchandise, there's magazines, you have lots of Sonic memorabilia, and wow. I mean, there's a lot of buzz about it, and yet, back then, I only had a Sega Master System as well as a Nintendo Game Boy, which I think I got about last year or that year, but anyway. But yeah, just went into this special stage. Oh yeah, that's really quick, but for this one, what I aim to do is just I had to beat the stage successfully without fail. And any time I failed is when I was playing on the Xbox. So I think it was on the SEGA Mega Drive collection. Because I just want to make sure that I get to complete this. And well, it's a bit nervous because the analog SG is just kind of screws up with the PAL speeds. I mean, I got this game on as a PAL original release, and I think I bought it in Toys R Us, but I'll get to that soon. But yeah, what I'm just aiming to do is I carefully get to beat the stage, because if I start to fail the stage every time, I'm just knowing oh my gosh, my ability is getting worse because I'm getting so old. So I'm just hoping to get this done, but they're perfect for collecting all the rings in the stage, and just making sure that I do enough to get a Chaos Emerald. So after 36 years, well, I think it's 30 years of experience, that I still got what it takes to beat the stage, so that's cool. So, yay! Anyway, back then, when I was 6, I only had the Sega Master System and the Nintendo Game Boy, and I got a few handful of games like Tetris and a few Master System games like Donald Duck and the Lucky Keeper and whatsoever, New Year's Eve and Story. I got Sonic Chaos last year, but I haven't got the Mega Drive, so I couldn't get Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So it's only about the next year during my birthday, I got a Mega Drive, which is a Model 1. I wanted the Model 2, but it turns out to be a cheaper solution. But I got Sonic the Hedgehog original, so I had to go into shop to get Sonic and Knuckles, and wow, this game is great. But it wasn't until I got the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 later in Dixon's, could be the one after Sonic 3. But when I went on a holiday and went to the Toys R Us, I got Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Got one of those receipts because you had to pick up one of those receipts to get one of those special games. So I instantly went for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 so I can get to play it. That was so cool. And then I just played literally the hell out of it. Sonic and Knuckles has got a lock-on thing, so you can play as Knuckles doing Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But if you connect them together, supposedly it combines both parts of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 together, because the original release of Sonic 3 is just you only have the first 6 levels except the Blind Battery Zone. It was going to be Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but it's moved over to Sonic and Knuckles because developers don't have enough time to complete the full game, so they made Sonic Knuckles have that lock-on technology, so you can have Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is actually a complete version of Sonic 3. So yeah, gosh, I have fond memories of it. But the weird thing is that whenever I do this special stage, I was always reminded of that classic kids TV show I used to watch, which is of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Sat AM, which is literally called Sonic the Hedgehog, which used to be on like Channel 4. It's like much darker and people loved it for its plot. But I was kind of a bit of a sucker for the other one, which is Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which also aired on like Channel 4. But yeah, it is pretty much like Sonic the Hedgehog on acid or some sort. But I was also reading a lot of Sonic the comic issues. Get them like every Saturday is just check out the Adventures of Sonic, the Chuck the Head in the like Decap Attack, as well as Shinobi and Streets of Rage. Wow, that series is so great. And it's a shame it's just like ended like during the millennium. But I really love those comics, and it's just like lots of cool stuff. But the crazy thing is it uses the version of Dr. Robotnik from like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and appears in Sonic the comic. And literally made him like much darker. But if you haven't like heard of this series, like if you grew up in South America and you used to Archie Sonic comics, I haven't really checked that one out. I was in the UK, I was checking out the Sonic the comic, so look it up at the bed. There's even like a huge website that talks about it. So, but yeah, no, you can obviously tell I'm not like a Nintendo kid. I know Lewis, my part of this channel. He's a Nintendo kid and grew up with Zelda and Mario. And I was like, if only my life is different when I had Mario and Zelda. But funny though, that I got a bunch of Mario games. Oh yeah, I thought I couldn't be able to beat this special stage, but I can still do it. Nice. So yeah, so on the same year as Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I got a Super Nintendo for Christmas. I asked for one with no, it's not Super Street Fighter. It's Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I'd love to have this one. But what I got instead is got Super Nintendo that has Super Mario All-Stars, which has got remade versions of the Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, and Super Mario The Lost Levels. And that's, I think it's when I was introduced to Mario. But yeah, this game's great. I didn't have a lot of Super Nintendo games back then. I got Donkey Kong Country, but I haven't got like Legend of Zelda. The first Legend of Zelda game I got was on the Game Boy Color, which is called Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. And when I played it, it's like, wow, they look so great. And I had a lot of fun playing it. But as for the other Legend of Zelda games, I haven't actually completed a lot of them for many years. But I was like a huge Sonic fan back then. And I was like, wow. It just feels like as if it's a great time to be a Sonic fan. And I was like obsessed with the SEGA franchises too. So it was like, crazy. But Sonic is everywhere back in like Sonic 3's round. Like you have packs of biscuits. So like got the Sonic the Hedgehog branding on. There's Sonic the Hedgehog toys. Got plushies. And I think there's some other bits there. I didn't get any of the music tracks, especially the one that came out with like, I think it was the advertisement for Sonic 3, which is called White Said Fred and does like Wonder Man. And that came over those Sega TV advert, where it involves like Sonic going through the pirate TV station and causing all sorts of mischief. And you have Wonder Man by White Said Fred playing in the background. And it was like kind of cool, but I didn't get it as a single. I wasn't into buying a lot of music as a kid, but I was like, wow, everything about Sonic is so good. There's something else, like, oh yeah, there was a daily quest of some sort where they do small cartons of milk, which has got Sonic branding in it, and that you get a advertisement, and I thought, oh wow, I want to get those milk cartons, and I think I've had those before and just enjoyed like milk cartons that's got Sonic on it, and it's like cool. And I think later that year you have a Milky Way promotion where I think it was the next year, but it's just like involves Sonic and Knuckles, and I was like collecting a lot of Milky Ways from the ice cream shop and hoping I won a SEGA Mega Drive 2 because I want that and not stick with the Mega Drive Model 1. This is the third special stage. And I can honestly tell this one continues to baffle me this day, Because what happens is that once you get down to the last few blue spheres, you'll eventually get down to the last few balls, and you're supposed to like make sure you have that amount of blue balls. So when you get to complete this one, rings appear, you collect them all, and then you wouldn't have. And if you did your timings right, you wouldn't have to backtrack and risk going into the reds. I also remember like during the 90s, there's like this cool show called Games Master that I used to see a lot of episodes of, but I don't seem to remember a lot of episodes involving like Sonic and Knuckles or Sonic gameplay. But I've also seen like Bad Influence on CITV as well, and just caught up with lots of fun game shows. Hey, not doing pretty bad myself. Got all 3 emeralds, and looks like I'm still hip, so yeah. I wonder how Lewis is enjoying the stream. If he's got any comments, speak them in the comments below. But anyway. Oh, I almost forgot there's a promotion with the Frosties too, where you can collect all the tokens where you get a free one of those yo-yos where it can be like Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, or even Dr. Robotnik. So I sent in tokens and I got like a Sonic yo-yo, which is like if you throw down the yo-yo down to the ground and pull it back up, it just lights up. I still have one, put the batteries in and it still works for the lights. So yeah, I mean, this game's got like, kind of spoils you when you just get so many lives and continues if you do well in this game, so you wouldn't get to suck much. But I think the spoiler is that I ended up with lots of lives and I only died a few times, so the game's pretty simple, but the stages are stupidly long compared to Sonic 2. Like, Sonic 2, more variety, and Sonic looks great, but this one is like really awesomely designed, and it's just like, the stages are so large, it would take about 6 or 7 minutes to beat every stage. It's like, it's quite an endurance test. But yeah, the music for this one is like so epic. Got a huge ace beats, and even Jun Shinu is like remastered it with a guitar riff for the Super Smash Brothers Melee or some sort. But yeah, it would just really like makes the stage sing and makes it really special as well. It has this huge fire thing, so love it. Oh yeah, also on this year, this is like a great year of Mega Drive games, and I think that's when the Mega Drive comes at its peak. So Aladdin came out last year, and then you have like The Lion King, what else? It says Boxster. Oh gosh, I absolutely love this stage, and this is by far the most difficult because of how the blue spheres are like arranged. It just makes it so stupidly difficult to time your presses, so that if you try to carefully go through, make sure you don't hit the bumpers, and then yeah, you're like this, like that can happen if you're not too careful. But I was gonna say, like, there's blue spheres in the middle, and the one way of it is you go around the border, but I can't show you that right now because I just failed it. I think the Eternal Champions came out around the same time as Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but there's a Virtual Racing which uses a special chip to do 3D graphics, and one's like Star Rain. Like, if you know Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, and with its 3D graphics, you know what it's like, you know. Anyway, I just found 4 golden rings, large rings that let you enter the special stage to collect the Chaos Emeralds. And the first 2 acts of Angel Island Zone does actually spoil you. And it also is really clever because if you know and get a fire shield, you can easily beat the first 2 bosses of the game. The mini boss and the Dr. Eggman boss. But back then it's just like, we know him as Dr. Robotnik. And it wasn't until like Millennium and the Dreamcast era where he's now called Dr. Eggman. But I bet some of the older people are like, nah, Dr. Robotnik. But it's crazy, like, it took so many years until we get the Sonic the Hedgehog movie out. And I was like, I thought he would be played the certain actors, and I thought Jim Carrey would like go into one of the comedy roles. But then it's just Sonic the movie came out by Paramount, and I was amazed to see that Jim Carrey will be has starred as Dr. Robotnik in the first movie. Like, wow. In fact, his performance is really good. He even appeared in the sequel, complete with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and the star cast is like so good. And now Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out. I thought it would be just Sonic and Shadow because Jim Carrey retired, but now he's coming back as Dr. Robotnik in his second sequel, which is the first in his career, and he's about to wrap up his career. I mean, wow, what a legend. Also, he makes a really good Dr. Robotnik in the film series, so well there. But yeah, this sequence, love it. You just have to like run away from the bombs that this airship fires. But I don't know if this ship is connected to the flying battery in Sonic and Knuckles, but who knows? There we go, fighting against Dr. Robotnik. Yeah. But anyway, defeated Dr. Robotnik and just pop over to this capsule. Gosh, 60 minutes in. And how did that happen? I don't know. I mean, I was going to try to jump, but for some reason, I don't know how I like pressed down and then did the spin dash, but never mind. Let's spoil through this cool sequence again. I miss Lewis. I think he would enjoy this, but then since he's a Nintendo fan who possibly grew up with Mario, Zelda, and possibly Metroid, he'll be boasting about how he enjoyed his childhood with all the Nintendo games. But, don't know. Oh yeah, also in the 1994 you get Dynamite Headdy, and that's a great platformer. Chances are you haven't heard of it, so you should really check it out. It just involves like a character that uses his head to defeat enemies, and it's so colourful and it's so brilliant, and also the music is so good. I got it in I think it was in Toys R Us when I got it in 1996, but it's definitely like one of the top titles that I played it so much I think I had enough of it. But this thing is still fantastic. And then when I looked up other Mega Drive games, it's like, oh, so good. But I'm so glad I got Gunstar Heroes and Dynamite Headdy before 1999 when I moved on for things like Saturn and Sega Dreamcast. Damn. I like to think as if my childhood is great because I get to try out all those different games, but then I don't know how my childhood would have been better with Nintendo. I got a Super Nintendo, of course, but I haven't had a Mega CD or the 32X, which I could have otherwise checked out Sonic CD and Knuckles Chaotix. But one of my biggest gaming regrets is that for my 10th birthday, I was given the choice between the Sega Saturn, Sony PlayStation, or Nintendo 64. It's like, I was told repeatedly that Sega Saturn is going to be out of business and it's not a good idea to go for it. And even my sister was looking so forward to Sony PlayStation. I was in Toys R Us. I was like, you know what, I just want to go to the Sega Saturn. And then we argued about it. And then we just wait allowed to make a decision. Then I'm like, had some ice cream, have a think about it. And then in the end, I went to the Sega Saturn. And the moment I mentioned that decision, my sister is just like, oh. And she was literally so disappointed that I didn't go for the PlayStation. Then I just instantly regretted because I could have went for the Sonic PlayStation. How stupid have I been? Like, if I had a PlayStation instead, I would have kept it as long as the Mega Drive and checked out all the cool titles in 1998 and 1999. And I could have checked out Metal Gear Solid. I could have been so popular back then. But then I was too much of a hardcore Sega fan to even not consider a Sega Saturn. Actually, my childhood is kind of bit, well, as if it's just went upside down or inside out. But anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you hear that cool music, well, it's like funky music, and it's a Gumball machine that just gives you like all these different power-ups, so yeah, I like it. I don't know if I'm close to the beat of the stage, but Hydro City Zone is just like got some really cool music, and I love aesthetics on it. And then the later stages, like you have a kick-ass music in the Marble Garden, which is a lot better than Marble Zone. then the next three stages is like there's music which is apparently made by Michael Jackson. He was going to make music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but then he just felt the sound chip didn't really work out, so he just decided to like leave it, and had I think someone like Howard Desson to like work on the tracks. However, it used to be re-released for the modern consoles, and then it was pulled because some of the producers behind Michael Jackson's music threatened with lawsuits. So Sega had to like delist Sonic 3 from like Steam, Xbox, or something like that. But I don't know if you can still find Sonic the Hedgehog 3 on Xbox, but it wasn't featured on future collections. And there was like Sega Mega Drive or Sonic's Genesis collection where it had like a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic Knuckles, but then those are not like compatible on like Xbox Series X or S, which is a shame because I'd love to get that again, but then you need the Xbox 360 to play it. But then eventually with the release of Sonic Origins, Sega brought back the prototype music, which sounded so different for 3 of those last stages. And yeah, there were, I mean, Sega did those really dirty using some like really weak instruments, and it was much hated by the community, like especially YouTube. I'm like, oh my gosh, it could have been so much better. But at least the Ice Cap sound is okay. But you cannot really beat the originals, of course. Sonic Origins made them better, but it's weak in some areas. So if you want to check out, get a Mega Drive game, easy. I just don't remember. Like, I wonder if this 5th stage is like difficult or easy, but then I think the trick to beating it is like there are 2 levels of it where it involves blue spears, but you always need to check out the corridor where you have to go through and you collect all these blue spears. Once you figured it out and like pick the right route, then you're left with just like 4 spears. Just to make sure you don't go into the bumpers. Oh no, you don't want to do that. I really used to watch a lot of adverts as a kid. I know there's like Sega TV where there's a guy in the Fez hat and talking about games like Aladdin and even like Jurassic Park. And yeah, fun times. And then eventually just went crazy with Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat coming to the Sega Mega Drive. And I don't know how popular they were compared to like Sonic, but I think Sonic is just more like a, don't know, since I'm part of the younger generation, I just found out Sonic and found out a lot of information that came from like Sonic the comic, as well as other Sega magazines like Mean Machines Sega or some sort. And I think there's other series, but I did actually collect official Nintendo magazine as well, so. But yeah, no, there's this, I don't know if it's a bug or some kind of mistake, but it plays off the final boss theme over this mini boss. But this one is like a bit of a pain. If you're not too careful, you get wound up in this pedestal, which spins you around. Also, you had to jump out to get air. But once you like try to arrange for the different attacks, you eventually get to beat this boss, so easy enough. I think I was not into like, I'm not totally obsessed with Sonic though. I think that around the same age of like 1994, I was like into like Power Rangers, and I watch other shows on like. I don't think I'm like that obsessed into it, so I just really enjoy the 90s. I just love this stage. Act 2 of Hydrogen City Zone not only has a sick music to go with it, but you get chased by this like crawling column, and you just have to like make sure you escape. It's really tense, and if you plan everything right, you should get a 1-up life. So something else is that I still have a bunch of Mega Drive games. I've got an analog SG which I can play my titles on, but yeah, just like still follow the games, listen to lots of game soundtracks. And what's really good this time is like this decade is like you saw Wise and like homebrew Sega Mega Drive developers, but I've seen like lots of good titles. You get a remake of Castle Symphony of the Night as a 8-stage platformer on the Mega Drive. as well as a remake of GG Shinobi. Both of them are done by Pixie, who also like does those tutorials, who also like does a showcase of all those different Mega Drive games that's been developed using the special development kit. You used to like do assembly code for the games. This kit allows you to program in like C++, so it just makes me interested like whether I would check out this kit. But I think I just moved on from like games development. But then I think I would have a huge blast and see if I can make a game using it. But because of this kit, it just resulted in lots of different games being released for the Mega Drive as demos. And all the demos I've seen so far, those look really good. And I just hope like we see more developers and more games. And it's just what really makes this scene fantastic. But it also makes me pleased that people are so interested in collecting games, which ramped up their game prices. It's crazy. Some of the rare games, especially the Sonic games, could be like really expensive. Apparently, Sega, well, it's 32X. It used to like be really cheap, but now it has inflated in its price to about many hundreds of pounds. And don't even think about getting Knuckles Chaotix on cartridge, because last time I checked, I think it fetched for like 600 or 700 quid, and it is definitely one of the rarest games ever. And it just hurts because this game hasn't been re-released on any collection or anything for the modern consoles. And it's like, oh, that sucks. But yeah, I did manage to get Sonic CD from like Amazon like years ago. You can play it on the mobiles, but I got this Mega CD version, and it's got like a trance soundtrack instead of a rock soundtrack for the North American release that has like Sonic Boom. But yeah, I didn't really check out Sonic CD until like much later into the years. But back then I just had the luxury of Master System Sonics. I got Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Sonic Chaos. And I was a bit bummed about not having Sonic Drift 2 because I didn't have a Sega Game Gear back then. I only like borrowed it from like my family relatives and been playing like GG Shinobi and like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But when I had a Mega Drive, I had like Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and I think Sonic Knuckles. But I didn't have Sonic Spinball and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. But I did have like Sonic 3D Blast, which is an isometric Sonic game that has Donkey Kong graphics. And yeah, I think that's all I had, because that one is I had for Christmas back in 1996. The last Sonic game I got was like Sonic Superstars, and it was pretty fun. But the boss stage is like stupidly hard. And I just like, I mean, it's now really hard to become a Sonic fan when you can just be a fan of like other franchises that are like more interesting. But I kind of saw games as a stress relief and just as a coping mechanism, just to like get through all the stresses of my childhood. But now I just feel like I want to focus on writing and reading, and I just felt the one thing I could have changed about my childhood is that I shouldn't have been obsessed to games and instead read more books and been able to write more stories. And it's something that I'm trying to focus on. But I guess like many decades later in my life, that it's not all too late and you can still make a change. But then for what it's worth, enjoying Sonic games is just like really fantastic for the time. And it's something that is a venture worth having, really. It is crazy that it's been exactly 30 years since I like played Sonic the Hedgehog first heard of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and it wasn't until like a year or two later that I get to check out Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in the Mega Drive, and it was like really one of the huge experiences. If you haven't really checked it out, you should check out Sonic Origins, where it's got a remastered version of like Sonic the Hedgehog 3, along with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 1, and even Sonic CD. So if you have like bought Sonic the Hedgehog 3 previously on Xbox 360, you can download it, but I don't think you can get it on the store. But yeah, Sonic Origins seems like it's the only game where you can get Sonic the Hedgehog 3. But if there's any other places where you can currently get Sonic the Hedgehog 3, let us know in the comments. So, but until then, thank you for watching this video, and until then, take care and enjoy collecting things. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube. And follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.